The quiet afternoon at the seaside pier was shattered by a thunderous crash. Onlookers froze in shock as a massive creature, unlike anything they'd ever seen, slammed into the wooden structure. Splinters flew as the pier shook violently. "What the heck is that?" Susie yelled, gripping a pole for support. Logan, her husband, shouted, "We have to get out of here!" But before he could grab her hand, the pier collapsed and Susie plunged into the sea. But before we dive into the story, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting stories. Logan fell to his knees, staring at the water where Susie had disappeared, praying she would resurface. Moments later, she emerged, gasping for air and struggling against the strong current. "Hold on to something!" Logan yelled. But he knew it would be difficult. He couldn't swim. 2 helicopters appeared overhead, but Logan quickly realized they weren't there for rescue. They were focused on the creature. Suddenly, an FBI agent grabbed Logan, pulling him away from the collapsing pier. "We'll save your wife," the agent said, dragging him to safety. Meanwhile, Susie struggled to keep her head above water as the creature swam nearby, circling ominously. A helicopter lowered a rope and Susie managed to grab it, securing herself just as the creature thrashed about, injured by a shot fired from the second helicopter. As Susie was pulled into the helicopter, she noticed 2 FBI agents inside. Before she could question them, one asked, "Dr. Trova, we're taking you to your lab." Shocked, Susie wondered how they knew she was a marine biologist. But she stayed silent, her heart racing with suspicion. Upon landing, she was rushed into a government facility, the urgency in the agent's movements leaving no room for questions. Inside, Susie was led through sterile hallways until she met Dr. Stevens, a stern scientist. "We've been tracking that creature for years," he said, explaining that it was part of secret research. Susie listened intently as Stevens described the creature's extraordinary abilities: adaptive camouflage, survival in extreme conditions, and an unexpected level of intelligence. Susie realized the creature was far more complex than she had imagined, and her marine biology expertise was crucial to understanding it. Despite her anxiety, she knew there was no turning back now. The creature had to be studied and contained before it became a threat. Logan, left behind at the pier, was frantic for news about Susie. The scene was chaotic, and as he searched for any sign of her, his desperation grew. "Did you see where the helicopters went?" he pleaded with bystanders, but most were too shocked to offer help. A security guard pointed north, and with no other leads, Logan set off, determined to find his wife. His search led him to rough parts of town, where he asked questions that few were willing to answer. Finally, a group of men hinted at something unusual happening near a government facility. Logan knew it was a long shot, but he pressed on, determined to uncover the truth. He wouldn't stop until he found Susie. Meanwhile, Susie was shown footage of the creature's previous appearances. It moved with a grace that belied its size, blending into its surroundings and exhibiting behaviors that astonished her. Dr. Stevens explained that the government had been monitoring it for years due to its unique abilities. "We've been studying its patterns closely," he said. "It's unlike anything we've encountered." As Susie watched the footage, she became captivated by the creature's intelligence. It wasn't just surviving, it was thriving, adapting in ways she had never seen in marine life. "It's almost intelligent," she whispered. Dr. Stevens nodded in agreement. The more Susie learned, the more intrigued she became. She couldn't help but feel a connection to the creature, recognizing that it wasn't just a mindless beast. It was something far more extraordinary and potentially dangerous. She knew she had to help the team understand it fully, but her thoughts kept returning to Logan, wondering if he was safe. At the same time, Logan tracked down Rachel, a journalist who had been investigating secret government projects. He found her in a cafe, poring over documents. "I need your help," Logan said, desperation clear in his voice. Rachel, intrigued by the incident at the pier, agreed to help him. Together, they uncovered clues pointing to a high-security government lab. Rachel had been following leads about the creature for months and knew they were onto something big. "This place is off-limits to civilians," she warned, showing Logan a heavily guarded facility on the map. Despite the risks, Logan was resolute. "We have to get in," he said. Rachel and Logan began planning their next move, determined to rescue Susie and expose the government's secrets. Logan and Rachel devised a plan to infiltrate the facility. They gathered supplies, studied the layout, and timed their approach carefully. Using Rachel's tech skills, they managed to disable some of the security cameras, creating a small window to slip past the guards. "We have a small window," Rachel whispered, urgency in her voice. Logan nodded, ready to move. Every step inside the facility was calculated as they navigated through corridors and avoided detection. Their nerves were taut, knowing this was their only chance to reach Susie. Finally, after what felt like hours, they found the room where Susie was being held. When Susie saw Logan, her eyes filled with tears. "Logan!" she gasped, overwhelmed with relief. Logan rushed to her, pulling her into a tight embrace. "We're here to get you out," he said. Rachel stood guard, watching for any threats, but they knew their mission wasn't over yet. They had to escape, and fast. As alarms began to blare, Rachel shouted, "We've been detected!" Red lights flashed, and the sound of boots echoed in the corridors. Logan grabbed Susie's hand, urging her to move quickly. The trio sprinted through the facility, dodging guards and evading traps. "This way!" Logan pointed toward a map leading them through a maze of hallways. Amid the chaos, they stumbled upon a restricted laboratory filled with confidential files and strange equipment. "Wait, look at this," Susie said, scanning the documents. Her eyes widened as she read the contents. Inside, she found the truth about the creature. It wasn't just an experiment gone wrong, it was a mutated whale, desperately searching for its stolen baby, which had been taken by the government for secret experiments. "It's been looking for its baby," Susie whispered, the weight of the discovery hitting her hard. Logan's expression turned serious. "We have to help it," he said firmly. The trio realized their mission had taken on new urgency. They weren't just escaping, they had to free the creature and reunite it with its baby. Rachel's eyes widened as she absorbed the revelation. "This changes everything," she said. Together, they formulated a daring plan to disable the facility's security and release the creature. They couldn't leave until both the whale and its baby were safe. The trio quickly put their plan into action. Rachel hacked into the mainframe to disable alarms, while Logan and Susie sprinted toward the holding tanks where the whale and its baby were being kept. The facility was heavily guarded, but they navigated it with precision, dodging guards and staying out of sight. Their hearts pounded as they encountered fierce resistance, but they pressed on, driven by their mission. Guards appeared at every turn, weapons drawn. "Keep moving!" Logan shouted as he fought off an attacker, while Susie ducked behind a console, her mind racing. Rachel worked quickly, disrupting security protocols. "I've almost got it!" she called out, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Finally, they reached the holding tanks. Logan forced open the heavy doors, and Susie guided the creatures out. "This way," she called, directing the whale and its baby toward freedom. Rachel set off a series of diversions, buying them precious time. The water surged as the creatures were released, and the trio watched in awe as the massive whale and its baby swam away, finally free. The successful rescue exposed the government's unethical experiments. Footage and documents were leaked, causing a media frenzy. "They'll never get away with this," Rachel said, satisfaction in her voice. Logan and Susie nodded, relieved. The world reacted with outrage, demanding justice for the creatures and accountability for the secret experiments. As they stood on the shore, watching the ocean, Susie felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Logan wrapped his arm around her and Rachel stood beside them, smiling. "We did it," Logan said softly. Susie nodded, tears welling in her eyes. They had faced incredible odds and emerged victorious, not just for themselves, but for the creatures they had saved. Their mission was complete. The creatures were safe and the government's dark secrets were exposed for the world to see. Together, they had brought justice and closure to their ordeal, and the bond they had formed through their struggle would never be broken.